Previously on Miss President.
Diamond, Jamal and Zani. Diamond, you lost control of your group too as a leader. You are not giving everybody an equal and fair hearing. And for that reason, we will have to let you go. Thank you. Zani, I need you to up your game, okay? You have another chance in the academy. The green team, Lena Kamau and Nadia Abdallah. Nadia Abdallah, you're very passionate about what you do. However, we also want you to broaden your mind. So we will allow you back into the house so that you can learn more. Linda Kamau, it is not hard to tell that you're very passionate about agribusiness. What I would like you to take from the house is how to bring people together and how to keep them together. Everything starts at such a level where you are in right now, and you never know. Thank you so much. Yellow team, Mercy Wanyonyi and Angela Mwihaki. So Mercy Wanyonyi, we are very proud for this far you've come in the show. The one thing we loved about you in the house is your patience. You are a great leader in your own capacity, and we believe that you're really going to create a lot of change. Thank you so much. Angela, you have another chance in the house. Your voice has saved you. Harun Omolher, your answer today was quite deep. For that, we will allow you to stay in the academy. Another chance. Juliet Mapenzi, you do not take criticism well. And for that reason, we will allow you to go home, but we still want to believe that you're going to be a great champion of Miss President. And also the things that you have learned in the house, you're still going to put them into practice because you've also learned a lot on governance.
Thank you very much.
And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight.
The journey to the top seat is long and arduous. The contestants at the academy are not having it easy, but leadership is not a walk in the park. More so the presidency. We are down to 24 contestants, and I ask you again and again and again, are we ready for a female president? The ladies at the academy are about to prove to us that yes, it is time for a female president to take the lead in Kenya. The contestants are all determined to make it to the end of this competition. Every single one of these women is 100% certain that she will take the top seat. Only one can be and will be crowned Miss President. Swalini, Ninani, who is it going to be?
Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected, and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations, and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups, as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. Now, let's meet our esteemed judges for this episode.
I'm Dr. Zipporah Okoth. I'm a lecturer of film and theatre arts at Kenyatta University. I'm also the founder of the Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. I'm a gender consultant and a performing artist. I'm looking for people who are informed, presentable, firm, and have a purpose.
Hi, I'm Jerry Kerretts. I work in the policy environment, helping various small groups lobby for better laws for business. I'm a tough judge. I'm no nonsense. The minute you come before me, you better know your stuff. If you don't, well, you can only expect a challenge.
Hi, my name is Michael Onyango, and I work within the field of ICT and also communications and public policy. And I want to ensure that the person that ends up being Miss President will be able to galvanize and take charge of the best human resource that we have.
Just before training, the groups are reshuffled. Here's a list of the new contestants remaining in the academy. Today, the contestants receive training on public policy and planning. Do we understand public policy, and in what ways can Kenyans and the contestants as the leaders in this nation take part in public policy?
My name's Dr.Monica Kerretts Makau. I'm a governance and institutional expert and policy. I'm an academic and a consultant. And I look forward to having a conversation today with those in the room and those of you watching on TV on the question of planning and public policy.
All right, so what is public policy?
Public policy are decisions made by the government for the public or the common...
So who's government? You said it's made by the government. Who's government? Who's government? Somebody else?
The administrators.
Somebody? Tell us, Emily. Do you feel you are government?
In one way or another, because I participate in decision making by offering my opinions.
Okay.
Yes.
So you participate in decision making by offering your opinions. How do you offer your opinions? Anybody?
I participate through representation by our members of parliament, MCAs.
Yes.
And I also participate in the platforms provided by the county governments as they engage the people.
If we assume that policy making is an action by national government to the county government in defining or solving a problem and creating a policy for it. So if we understand public policy as a process, do we as Kenyans take part in public policy in this country? That's a question I put forth to you. And if so, in what ways do you take part in public policy?
Yes, we participate in public policy by giving our views to our representatives.
When do you do that?
When they are at the grassroots.
How many of them come to you for their views?
A few times, even when they have their own barazas, when we are there and we give our views. But I also want to say that the public participation in public policy is very minimal. The participation is
very minimal.
Yes.
So whilst in Kenya we actually have a public, the public's participation guidelines that were launched by His Excellency Waruguru Kenyatta, our challenge, like everything else, even the Constitution, is to move it from the paper to the spirit, where we as Kenyans participate in the public policy making process. I want to encourage us to begin to look at public policy from the following. One, public policy starts by us thinking about a problem. But for you to come up with a problem, you must know what services do we want to give to the Kenyan people.
According to the community assessment needs, the first one is education.
Policy making in education will be thinking through how do we ensure that our curriculum, the process of learning, is innovative. What policies do we need to put in place?
I would like the policy on safe and reliable water.
The policy I would personally want to see in place is providing healthcare that is quality and accessible to everyone.
I'm Caroline Chege from Kajiado County.
Yes, Caroline.
Sanitation and innovative waste management.
Innovative sanitation and innovative, amazing.
My name is Gertrude from Wasingishu.
Yes.
I think as a country right now, we need to look at the issue of unemployment critically.
Yes.
Because it leads to other problems like insecurity.
It's Angela from Kiambu County, and I'm thinking about climate change and conservation and protection of the environment.
Excellent.
My name is Coletta Kwana from Nairobi City County.
Yes.
Access to justice.
In every topic that you've listed, there is a key core problem. And you have to figure it out. The challenge in policy is making sure you define your problem well. Your challenge with defining the root problem is that you have the media, which will be having people on the talk shows talking about what's the issue, isn't it? Now remember, there is in public policy a very strong correlation between what media says and what the public thinks. You also have the fact that if a politician highlights something over and over again, you start saying, kweli kuna shida. Now, hakuna shida, hiyo ilikuwa tu political statement na rhetoric. The other thing about public policy is that the formulation process and the adoption process is a process that you want to involve everyone. Good public policy making is involving your stakeholders from the beginning. And if you involve them from the beginning, and if you're all coming on the same page from the perspective that we are solving a problem for Kenya, for our great-grandchildren, you begin to solve it differently. You're not looking at the table and saying, huyu anatoka party ingine, huyu anatoka party ingine. We have so much copied the system of validation at the end without involving the people at the beginning. It's important to have a critical mass of those who understand. And remember, education is not the criteria for deciding whether someone understands. It could be just a villager in the county who's never gone to school, amzee, but that man or woman knows the issues very well, and they understand them very well, and you need to go and find them and bring them to the table. Quickly think through how you define or think through a policy problem. Ask yourself the 4 W's and a H. What's the first W? What is it we're looking at? Why is this an issue? Why do we need to solve it? Who is saying there's a problem? Very important. And you know, in Kenya, who is very important? Some people just have good mouths and they can speak. And they have access to media houses. When helps us in many ways. You know, are we talking about 2012? Are we talking about 2019? Are we talking about 2030? When do we want to solve this by? And then, of course, the H is what? How? Now, those are the basics. But in public policy and as leadership, you move away from the 4 W's and a H, and you go to higher questions, such as, how come? How come it's a problem now? Why not? Just because somebody says the problem is this, why not this? What if? What if we tried this instead of this? And you begin to go higher questions, you begin to make your policy-making process better. And finally, in public policy, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're able to bring a mass of people together to agree on the same thing. And so you need to be able to learn the skill of coalition building. You cannot solve the problem alone. You need the entire value chain of whatever the problem is, so that you can together as a team solve it.
We have always seen policy being initiated at an executive level, but how viable is it for us as a public to be the first initiators of these policy processes from a mwananchi level? Is it possible for us to do that?
Yes, indeed. The question is how you build that coalition together. Our challenge in Kenya is that we form political parties to do a grassroots thing. And you can challenge those issues that come out and say, hey, hold on a minute, this is not exactly what we see on the ground. Or indeed, this is what we see on the ground.
I get concerned that whenever we have public policies and processes, we get excited about implementing, launching things, but there's never that process of coming back to check, is this actually really working?
The ownership of seeing where we come, the checks and balance to this is upon the leader who is leading that particular policy process, the PS, or whoever it's the secretary to the cabinet in that particular issue, whoever it is that is leading that process. We don't wait for evaluation at the end of the process, which is at the end of the 4-year term or the 5-year term. We should be doing evaluation constantly.
We do not have laws or domesticated legislation that do with public participation. How can counties best own those processes and have participation from the people? Because like in my process, the donors would strictly say we can only take 5 people, but we need to have 100. So then it does not become it doesn't become an inclusive one.
Although the only reason they take 5 and not 100, let me start from the end, is because many of us Kenyans want to join public policy for money. So unless we are being paid, I'm not sitting in. And we don't want that culture, because if you're coming to help with your country, then come in and help for your country, right? And if you're a government official from another county, from other places, come in and it's part of your day-to-day work. And to the issue about the county, I mean, every county today, the national government has created the public participation framework. Every county can adopt it. You just need to be able to develop its own legislation for that process. It's upon counties to be innovative about doing so. So your challenge as the president is to ensure that these things happen. As Ms. President, your challenge is to ensure how to solve these issues. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this.
You are watching Miss President. Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected, and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations, and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups, as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight. Here is a summary of today's training. Now, public policy is an action by national government in defining and solving a problem. You can actively take part in this process by contributing thoughts and opinions in physical meetings with policymakers or on online platforms. Participation in policy-making processes can only be fruitful if we are aware of the issues that need to be addressed in the country. These issues include education, healthcare, sanitation and innovative waste management, and unemployment.
So now we're getting into tasks. The topic today was public policies. I'm going to invite Mwalimu to come back. Let's give Mwalimu a round of applause. Welcome back.
Thank you. Wow. You have a summary of the Big Four agenda, the current Big Four agenda in the country. And so in this group, you're going to do food security. In this group, you're going to do affordable housing. In this group, you're going to do affordable healthcare. And in this group, the final one you're going to do is manufacturing, yeah? So with that, the assignment is that you then need to develop and think through the policy issues that need to be dealt with for the Big Four to take place. All right, I want to wish you well. think in terms of this nation and think about how do we make this actually happen.
Let's be upstanding as the judges walk in. Judges, Judge Kerretts, Judge Dr. Zippy, and Judge Michael is back with us. You may sit. So the tasks begin now. You have 1 hour.
We are the policy makers. Which technologies are we coming with and what sector?
We are looking for how to raise funds for the private sector. In how do we ensure that Kenyans have affordable housing? That this policy did not help in achieving what the Big Four agenda wants. Change policies to stop imports of finished leather. I'm a mama fish. The problem is the housing.
Like the vital thing you need in manufacturing, energy.
What is healthcare? What is the issue? Why is this an issue? Who is bringing up this issue? When? Lack of hospitals in the rural.
We will also use the 37,000 agents again to facilitate payments.
But we have an inefficient market system.
No, now we are going to what are the policy issues? We're not only focusing on food security, we're also focusing on nutrition security of the citizens.
Okay, so remember, presentations, 5 minutes, if less, even better.
Our first policy is agricultural zoning policy. The issue is different regions in Kenya are all growing similar commercial crops. Why? To reduce wastage of food and scarcity in varying regions, to reduce the high cost of transporting commercial food across the 47 counties, to diversify domestic and commercial crop production. How? Introduce farmers to agri-tech methods through capacity building, have structured citizen participation forums to introduce farmers to existing markets. When farmers know that there are existing markets, they are more willingly to be able to accept the agricultural zoning policy. Thank you.
Our second policy is public-private partnership in agriculture policy. And the reason why we have decided to do this is that we want to have collaborative arrangements between the government and the private sector so that we can produce more food. And in this case, we want to demystify PPP. We also want to bring private sector on board in matters agriculture to help in the public sector.
We propose a policy on agriculture innovation and technology. We know how to do agriculture. Let's improve how to do agriculture. So our main goal is to create efficiency in agricultural processes and also access to information. And the reason being, we want to ensure that our operation model and systems are actually efficient.
We decided on incubator parks where we'll nurture small local companies into before going into the big parks. And the problems that we had decided on, local cost of production because the production cost is very high, importation because we have so many finished goods being imported into the country, manual operations of system because we are still in the analog time, so we want to introduce the digital time, access to energy and reliable source of energy. The solutions that we came up with, we would like to market our products locally, favorable prices for local market, transparency and access to funds so that governments can be able to come and also work with the different industries, marketing campaign for the Made in Kenya brand and targeting local and international markets, and stringent laws on importation of finished goods and locally available raw materials.
Our policy was on Kenya affordable housing. We designed a housing cover to ensure that Kenyans will buy the houses. We regulate the amount of rent that the landlords will impose on their tenants because most of the times they hike their prices so that the tenants cannot afford. And our short-term goals as a group is that we need to have engagement with the public to know why they need these houses. In the current dispensation, what is needed is public participation. Before you engage in any project, go to the grassroots and get the comments, the type of houses they want, and their recommendations on the way forward.
In informing our policies, we are concentrating on the promotion, prevention, and treatment policy, and also the promotion of public and private initiatives. But there's a problem in the implementation of the universal health care and affordable health care. So what is the problem? In our group, we discussed that we have poor health facilities in the country, especially in areas like Isiolo, which has mobile population. We also have inadequate personnel and infrastructure in existing health facilities, especially in terms of the bed-patient ratio and also capacity to deal with other diseases like cancer that require a lot of technology. NHIF reports that only 7 million Kenyans by 2018 were registered in NHIF. 15 million Kenyans are out of the NHIF system, and most of these people are actually in the informal sector. So that is a problem. Now, we plan on achieving 100% universal healthcare system by 2022.
Before we go into elimination, the contestants get an opportunity to elect new presidents within their groups. The new presidents are supposed to ensure there is cohesion within the groups, and any conflicts arising are immediately and effectively resolved. These are the presidents elected by their parties for this episode.
My viewer at home, nomination started. Stay with us.
She seems to have lost focus on the team and can't keep up with discussions in the evening. Reason being, she feels she has missed home so much.
She wasn't conversant with matters in her own community from a historic and contemporary perspective.
And I cannot tell her strength in leadership or any quality that I can see.
It's like she puts up a show for the judges, and then when they leave, she brings a different her in the group.
When presenting, she was not very clear, and we, as a group, we were very clear about what we wanted. She doesn't have a grasp of the issues, governance issues we are discussing.
There was little participation and engagement in the group.
As much as she's a fantastic leader, I think she needs that to up her game.
The contestants have finished the nominations in the PR. Who did they nominate? Who will the judges pick? Who will go home? Let's hear what the judges have to say before we move on to elimination.
It's about that time. Well, almost about that time, but first we have to have a chat with the judges. Can I first start with the question, where do you want them to play? When we give results, and as far as on a national level, they tell us, give examples of the community level, and then expound it.
We want them to be playing at the national level, but giving solutions that can be used at the grassroots level. And we want them to use their daily experiences as leaders to come up with solutions that can be adopted in the national policy.
You look disappointed today, Judge Kerretts, in terms of during the sessions they were giving amazing contributions, then come to fulfilling now the entire process, they lacked again.
I had fantastic ideas. I saw people who understood policy. They could break it down, they could articulate themselves within the group. When it came to presentation, do it the way we were taught. And that's why I brought them back and I said, look, what is the unit of transformation in the Constitution? It's the word. Development cannot happen unless you have a grassroots movement.
So how does it look in terms of who's going home and who's not? I'm not asking who's going. I'm not asking, because you were asking very deliberate questions in the last episode.
As Kenyans for a very long time, we know what we want. Yes. And we want to ensure that us as judges within these series of episodes that we've been engaging with, what we want as Kenyans is actually coming out and the best are rising to the top.
Yeah. What we were testing is that in this whole process that you have been here, what have you learned? Now we wanted them to answer in such a way that what you're doing, how can you make it big enough to have a national effect? Because you are a president now.
So who is staying? Let's find out.
You are watching Miss President. Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected, and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations, and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups, as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight. We have come to that moment when 4 people will be going home. Who will stay? Who will be on probation? And who is going home?
It's another beautiful day, and the Excellencies sitting right before us today have made great effort to be where they are. And for that, we really need to congratulate ourselves. We'd like to request those who are on probation to stand up. You are released from the probation you are in, and now you are free.
It's always a tough task that needs to be done because there can only be one leader at a time. So towards that journey, I'm now going to call the 8 people who need to come and take the seats in the front. And I'll start off with Colette Akwana, Caroline Nganga, Zanzi Kasim. Joining her is Anne Waruguru. We now have got 4 more people to come forward. Emily Mwangi, Bright Star Kasioka. Finally, Nancy Zinza. And joining Nancy Zinza is Caroline Chege. So Colette, I'd like to ask you, in terms of policies, what is it that you would recommend of what we can do to enhance our fish processing industries?
One of the first policies that I would put in as president would be to look into, one, increasing capacity and motivation of the Kenyan people, and specifically those who come from the lake. Policy that would also attract investors into the lakeside region to try and bring up incentives, and then also make it a bit tight on laws that want to bring in especially things that are locally available.
Caroline, manufacturing has really changed around the world. How are you going to ensure that with a disruption in manufacturing brought about by the 4th industrial revolution, that will still be a factor of growth and employment in this country?
Unemployment is, we identified as one of the main problems, and we would want to solve it through manufacturing by localizing and creating incubation cottage industries. By localizing the product, we are empowering the society. We are engaging, providing employment for them, and also by providing the environment, so we are economically empowering them.
I'll start with you, Zani Nzani. Now that we were discussing healthcare, what do you think needs to be done by the current government, especially when they're now thinking about providing universal health care for women who suffer gender-based violence?
The biggest problem we have in Kwale is poverty, and most of the women are not educated, so that means they cannot support themselves financially. We can provide an affordable healthcare system, for example, through creating more healthcare facilities in our county.
Okay, what I'm saying is there are issues around gender-based violence.
Yes.
So there's certain things that women need taken care of. First of all, what do you think they are?
Trauma.
Trauma,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Physically?
Yes, injuries, physical injuries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like you to just go back and think about that, but thank you for the effort. Yes, and put in a little bit more thought around policy and the areas that you feel passionate about. Man Waruguru, please come forward. The president signed 10 bills. One of them was the health bill. The bill has lowered the level of education for those who are going to import equipment for universal healthcare and also drugs. What do you think are the issues that the pharmaceutical industry has with that particular clause or the doctors?
One of the most pertinent issues on that is quality. We have to interrogate the quality both of the medicine that we're importing. As a country, are we flooding the market with substandard quality of the medication that we are getting? And are we safeguarding the rights of the Kenyans in terms of receiving quality health care in the country?
Emily, good evening once again. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, great. With respect to housing and urban development in this country, tell me one of the policies that the current CS has outlined that you fully support and why you support it.
The one of constructing low-cost housing. If we could build low-cost housing that every person could afford, we move them from tin houses and places which are very prone to causing diseases.
According to you and according to what you people came up with, what is the figure or what do you consider low-cost housing?
The average Kenyan lives under $1 a day. The figure that I would put it at is anything between 1,500 shillings to almost 2,500.
Bright Star. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Within the housing policies that CS Macharia heads, which one do you disagree with?
I don't disagree with any of them. I saw them, they are very workable. As a country, if we have peace and we make the country stable and we encourage investors to come, they'll have more private partnerships. So I feel it has not been taken to the level that it should reach, and that is what I would improve on.
So how would you improve on that?
I would ensure that investors that come in the country have easier access to the country. So as a president, I would authorize the immigration to authorize that if someone is coming to invest, especially in housing, they can be given a longer visa.
If Nancy Nzisa can come forward. How do you think we would use agricultural byproducts to be able to enable people to better their lives?
So for leather, what we do is we have rabbits, then we have the we make leather out of the skin. So we make bags, very quality bags. So these bags are sold locally and at a very affordable price to bypass any other exports that come out of the country, helping us as young people to earn a living. And even, when there is an issue of unemployment, we create even jobs for other people. Currently, I have 2 people on board.
Finally, let me have Caroline come forward. So I know you come from Kajiado.
Yes.
And you have experience in greenhouse farming, isn't it?
No. I come from a county where, let me be specific on my constituency, that is Kajiado North constituency, where majority of the main income is from, the people make money mostly from farming. They grow, for instance, spinach, tomatoes, kale, carrots in large scale. The main challenge is the road network. They don't have good roads to be able to access the market, so there's a lot of food that goes into waste.
Do you think that as a solution we should adopt GMOs?
Not at all, because our constitution in Article 43 clearly states that Kenyans have a right to not only adequate food but quality food. So nutrition is of importance.
How do you know that GMOs are not nutritious?
Because GMO is not the original state of the it interferes with the original state of the plant, and it might interfere with our body system.
And now to calling out those who will be in the academy and those who will go home. Caroline Nganga and Coletta Kwama, please stand up. Caroline Nganga, today your greatest weakness was in terms of confidence, not even on intellectual issues. Because the people who are in the house right now are people of very high intellectual power. And for that, at this level of the competition, we are sorry to let you go home. Coletta Akwama, you have proved that you have background information considering the things you are discussing on your table. But at a personal level, considering the question you are asked is very direct to the business that you're doing. You are a lawyer, but you also do fish business. We expected something better. We will give you another chance, hoping that it will empower you better. Zani and Anne Waruguru. Anne Waruguru, you answered well, but I don't know what kind of tension made you go on blabbering on things that were now leading you out of focus. But because of your current leadership capabilities that we saw around your table today, we will give you another chance in the academy. Zani, I would like you to focus, and even as a filmmaker, research before you go to the field. Because what you are asked today is very direct in terms of the kind of film that you are doing. Film is not just about entertainment. You use the platform to entertain and to educate and to empower people. For that, we will allow you to leave the academy, but we are very proud of you for this far you have come. The next team we have is Emily Mwangi and Bright Star Kasioka. Emily, we will have to let you go home. You have got a very good style of leadership. You listen and you also share. And that's one thing we like about you, despite the fact that today you didn't share what you knew on the table. But in the previous incidents, we have seen you as somebody who really collaborates well with the others. And I think that's one thing that has really taken you this far. Bright Star Kasioka, we will give you another chance in the academy, but we want you to use this moment to empower yourself and widen your scope of knowledge in regards to the things you know. And next is Nancy Nzisa and Caroline Chege. Nancy Nzisa, you are doing something very noble within your community. However, today you forgot that foundation that brought you into the academy. For that reason, we will let you leave the academy. However, we are very proud of you, and we want to believe that the initiatives that you are doing in the grassroots level will grow, not just to be baskets for the women. You will empower even younger girls and younger men within your community. So for that, we are very proud of you, and we just want to say thank you. Caroline, your journey in the house started at a very high note. I do not know what's happening, but I'm not seeing the Caroline we saw during the auditions. You have this one more chance to go back to the Caroline we saw during the auditions and make her better. For that, we'll leave you in the academy. And for all the women leaders seated here, you are in this space right now because you are good and you're great. And it doesn't matter who gets the ultimate title. You are now the top 20 of the 1,100 contestants. And for that, we are very proud of you.
I've always thought I'm so confident and I'm so knowledgeable, but sitting there, I only came up with 2 points out of the many points I knew I could do. At least I said I'm very informed, I just need to focus. So I'm going to learn how to focus, because when you know so much, you can get confused in the middle.
Iyo kiti ni mbaya, that's not it. But it's good, it keeps me on my toes. We're on training ground, this is an academy, I'm learning, but also I need to get my momentum back.
I think they wanted to see how well I would do, even in other areas that I would not consider my expertise area. I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, and I'm here to welcome every opportunity to do that, whether it's in pack criticism or individual criticism. So for me, it wasn't bad.
I'm clearly not well
equipped with knowledge concerning policy making, and maybe that's an area I'm supposed to touch on and work on if I really want to create change in my community.
These are new things to me, and I'm so happy I learned them at this time. It's been an amazing journey for me.
I have learned, yes, Yuongo. Who knows? Let's watch this space. That person who was asked a question that she could not comprehend, that was as someone who had just tensed for a minute. I am confident, I have been confident, I will continue being confident.
After a busy and highly charged day at the academy, it's time to take a breather. For some, probation calls for a meeting with self in order to assess or change strategies so as to remain in the competition.
That's it. The groups have been reshuffled and are getting smaller. The race is getting tougher. The competition even more taxing. Some have had to leave the academy tonight, and those who have left, soldier on. By the way, thoughts, opinions, compliments, suggestions, tweet us on @media_focus, Facebook @mediafocus on Africa, Instagram @mediafocus on Africa. As the First Lady Margaret Kenyatta said, our work will require stepping up on our joint efforts, rededicating our energies and building our collective resolve towards a healthier and better future for Kenyans. Usihate the next episode of Miss President, where another fascinating topic will be tackled, followed by tasks to test the skills of the contestants. Until then, good night.